Life hacks are everywhere online, but did you know people have been hacking life for thousands of years? Long before electricity or factories, ancient people invented wild tricks just to survive. Some of these hacks sound gross or crazy, but they actually worked, like turning ashes and fat into soap or finding food that never spoils. These weren't random ideas, they were survival essentials. Imagine a world where a small cut could kill you, or food spoiled in days. You'd get creative fast. Today, we're diving into 7 ancient life hacks that were pure genius. Get ready to meet the original masterminds of survival. First up, getting clean before modern soap. Ancient Babylonians as early as 2800 BC made soap from animal fat, wood ash and water. Sounds gross, but it worked. The ashes provided alkali and when boiled with fat, created a chemical reaction called saponification. The result? A substance that actually broke down oils and cleaned skin. This wasn't just rubbing dirt on dirt, it was real chemistry, discovered by trial and error. Imagine the first person testing this weird lumpy paste, only to find it lathered and cleaned. Suddenly, people could prevent infections and stay hygienic in a world where that was tough. The technique spread, Romans, Gauls and others refined it, adding oils and scents. But the core idea stayed turn waste into a health breakthrough. Before store-bought soap, families had their own recipes, passing down this essential knowledge. It's a reminder. Some of history's most important inventions came from necessity, not labs. Ancient people didn't just stumble on solutions, they experimented, observed, and innovated. They saw potential in what others saw as garbage. This is the definition of a life hack, solving big problems with simple, smart ideas. Soap changed everything, helping people survive, stay healthy, and build civilizations. Next time you wash your hands, remember, you're using a trick that's thousands of years old. The original DIY was about survival, not just convenience. That's ancient genius in action. Next, let's talk about honey, the food that never spoils. Ancient Egyptians treasured honey, using it for food, medicine, and even preserving bodies. Archaeologists found honey in King Tut's tomb, still edible after thousands of years. Why? Honey's low water and high sugar content make it impossible for bacteria to survive. Plus, bees add an enzyme that creates hydrogen peroxide, a natural antiseptic. Egyptians packed honey into wounds to prevent infection, like a first aid kit in a jar. In a world without antibiotics, honey was a lifesaver. They also used it to preserve food and even bodies. Alexander the Great was transported in a coffin of honey. Greeks and Romans called honey nectar of the gods, using it for food and medicine. It was high energy, healed wounds, and made food last longer. Honey was one of the most valuable resources in the ancient world. Next time you see a jar of honey, remember, it's a survival tool that defies time. The ancients didn't need labs, they just paid attention to nature and the work of bees. Honey is food, medicine, and preservative, all in one. It's a sweet example of ancient ingenuity. Sometimes, the simplest things are the most powerful. That's the magic of honey. This one sounds wild, eating burnt wood to survive. Ancient Egyptians and Greeks used activated charcoal for medicine and detox. They made it by heating wood to remove water, leaving pure, porous carbon. 1 gram of this charcoal has more surface area than a football field. It's a microscopic super sponge. When ingested or applied to wounds, it trapped toxins and bacteria, preventing absorption. Hippocrates wrote about using charcoal for all kinds of ailments. They even filtered water through charcoal, making it safer to drink, thousands of years before modern filters. Today, we use activated charcoal in hospitals, water filters, and air purifiers. The science is the same. Charcoal binds impurities and keeps us safe. Ancient people didn't need microscopes, they saw results. They turned burnt wood into a life-saving tool. It's another example of observing nature and turning it into survival tech. Sometimes the weirdest ideas are the smartest. Charcoal from campfire to cure. That's ancient problem-solving at its best. Imagine cleaning your tablecloth by throwing it in the fire and pulling it out unharmed. In ancient Greece and Rome, they used cloth made from asbestos, a mineral that's fireproof. They had no idea it was dangerous. They just saw a miracle fabric. Asbestos could be spun into soft, flexible cloth that wouldn't burn. It was a status symbol, used for napkins, tablecloths, and even royal funeral shrouds. Roman historians wrote about its value and spectacle. Charlemagne supposedly amazed guests with an asbestos tablecloth he'd toss in the fire, but there was a dark side. Miners got sick, though no one understood why. It's a reminder that even genius hacks can have hidden dangers. Asbestos cloth solved a problem cleaning by defying fire itself. Sometimes ancient solutions were both brilliant and risky. The lesson? Innovation can come with a cost. Not every life hack is safe, but it sure is memorable. How do you make ice in the desert with no electricity? The ancient Persians built the yakchal, an ancient refrigerator. These giant, cone-shaped domes had massive underground chambers for storing food and ice. Made from special insulating mortar, they kept things cold year-round even in 100-degree heat. In winter, water was channeled into shallow pools to freeze overnight, then stored underground. The dome's shape deflected sunlight and wind catchers funneled cool air inside. It was a passive cooling system, no power needed. Travelers could enjoy frozen desserts in the middle of the desert. The yakchal was a marvel of engineering using nature's own forces. Modern architects still study it for sustainable cooling ideas. The Persians mastered thermodynamics long before science gave it a name. Sometimes the best tech is ancient. That's how you hack the desert. Ready for the grossest hack? The Romans washed clothes in urine. It was a huge industry. Public urinals collected pee for laundry workers called foulones. Why? Old urine breaks down into ammonia, a powerful natural cleaner and bleach. Foulones stomped clothes in vats of urine, then rinsed them clean. The process whitened togas and cut through grime. It was so profitable, Emperor Vespasian taxed urine collection. When criticized, he said, "Money does not stink." The Romans turned waste into a valuable resource. It's a stomach-turning idea, but it worked. They saw potential in what others threw away. Sometimes, survival means using what you have, even if it's gross. Ancient hacks weren't always pretty, but they got the job done. That's Roman resourcefulness. For our last hack, let's talk medicine, specifically moldy bread. Ancient Egyptians, Greeks, and Chinese pressed moldy bread into wounds to fight infection. It sounds risky, but people often healed. They didn't know why, it was just folk wisdom. The secret? Some molds, like penicillium, produce natural antibiotics. Ancient people unknowingly used the world's first antibiotic, centuries before penicillin was discovered. This practice spread across cultures from moldy bread to soybean curd. Careful observation led to life-saving results. Alexander Fleming would later isolate penicillin, but the principle was ancient. Sometimes the cure is hiding in plain sight. Moldy bread from kitchen waste to medical miracle. Ancient wisdom saved lives long before science explained it. That's the power of observation. There you have it, 7 ancient life hacks that prove humans have always been survival geniuses. These weren't just clever tricks, they were the difference between life and death. From soap to honey, burnt wood to fireproof cloth, our ancestors turned the ordinary into the extraordinary. Some hacks were brilliant, some risky, some downright gross, but all were born from necessity. They saw potential where others saw waste. The drive to adapt and innovate is in our DNA. Survival isn't always pretty, but it's always creative.